Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitya Gaura Prabhupada, Jaya Vishnupada, Paramahamsa Parigraja Kacharya, Stotra Satak Divendra Saisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय मायापुर धाम की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are reading from Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 1, text 43. And yes, it's first chapter, so we have gone many times through Bhagavad-Gita and we are starting another round again. So let's read the verse 43. Utsannakuladharmanam Manushyanam Janardanam Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushruma Utsannakuladharmanam Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushruma Utsannakuladharmanam Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushruma. Utsannakuladharmana Niyatam Vaso Shushruma Utsannakuladharmana Manushyanam Janardana Vaso Titam Shushruma Utsannakuladharmana Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushruma Dharmana Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vaso Bhavati Tyanushruma. A word for word. Utsanna, spoiled. Kuladharmana, of those who have the family traditions. Manushyanam, of such men. Janardana, oh Krishna. Narake, in hell. Niyatam, always. Vasaha, residence. Bhavati, it so becomes. Iti, thus. Anushruma, I have heard by disciplic succession. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience, but on what he has heard from authorities. That is a way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashram institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement of his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called prayashchita. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as this result of sinful activities. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhan Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Buddha, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Dashatarine. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you all for this in this nice sangha discussing beautiful Bhagavad-Gita. And yes, we are in text chapter 1, text 43. Srila Prabhupada calls this chapter Observing the Armies. So I'll read translation again. Here we know already that Arjuna is speaking, yes. So, O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So here Arjuna is lamenting before his fight, as we know, and he is trying to bring up different reasons why he shouldn't fight. And then Krishna speaks Bhagavad-Gita and refutes all his reasons one by one and tells him, you forget about everything and just surrender. Yes, so basically we are reading now about something that we have to forget, because at the end Krishna says just leave it all, yes, and just surrender. So that's a message, but still we will try to also see what we have to forget, because sometimes we unnecessarily remember things. Yes, so here the verse Utsanna Kula Dharmanam. Utsanna means spoiled or finished. Yes, so in some of the verses, some other places, Utsanna is used like my fear is finished. Utsanna Bhayam. That Utsanna is like it's finished, done, or spoiled here in this context. Yeah, that Kula Dharma, the family tradition, is spoiled. How is it spoiled? By stopping it. Yeah, so that's why this Utsanna also is like stopping it. So such men who spoil this Kula Dharma, they live in Naraka, in hell, niyatam, always said, yeah. Vasa, narake niyatam vasaha. So Vasa, we understand it's to live or residence. Naraka also. Niyatam, always. So how is it always live in a hell? Then it means like there is no hope. So that always means like for a very long time. Like we know that there are hellish planets at the bottom of the everything else, even below the um, lower planetary, there are higher planetary system like Svarga and all the other lokas, which is even higher than Svarga, like Maharloka and Tapaloka, Janaloka and Satyaloka, where sages live. And then there is Bu and Buar Loka, which is middle planetary system, and where we are here situated. And below is the lower planetary system, where demons and nagas live. But that's not the hell. This is, they enjoy there better than anyone else. Just that it's lower because they enjoy without Krishna, without God consciousness. So yeah, but that's not hell. That's not a hell where we hear when people are punished. Yeah. So below this lower planetary system, Patala, Loka, and everything, there are actually that Naraka starts the hell, and their soul goes to suffer the sinful acts. But it never says that it doesn't come out of there. Yeah, so this always means for a long time. And yeah, so one who stops or spoils the kula dharma, the family tradition, lives in hell for a very long time. And Srila Prabhupada said that there should be atonement for sinful activities, for one's own sinful activities, and then there is a ceremony for the how to nullify the sinful activities of forefathers as well. Yes, so these are all the duties to keep the family tradition. And Srila Prabhupada expands also, telling that if there is a good family, there is also a tradition. He even brings up the example of British royal families, that they also have some kind of tradition that they have to carry through and follow to maintain the status of the family. So like this, and there are a few of these verses here where Arjuna is talking about family tradition, like here, family tradition, kula dharmanam. So then again, um, kula dharma is also mentioned in previous verse 42. So then again, kula gnanam kulasya cha. Oh yes, and 41, there is also the family tradition. So he's very much concerned about this here in this section of Bhagavad-Gita. He expresses himself. So he lists what all will happen if the family tradition is stopped. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that it's important to follow this principle and keep things right and free from sins, because even unknowingly we may commit some sinful activity, and then we have to bear the result from that sinful activity. And therefore, but to speak of people who are not so strong and righteous, they are always prone to commit these type of activities. So therefore, it is said that, like in the verse 41, for like in this verse, Srila Prabhupada said that there is prayashchita, the process of atonement for a person who can do some kind of ritual or whatever is prescribed. It's said it's part of Varnashram institution that before death one should undergo such a prayashchita, and then it's also a duty to deliver the forefathers Otherwise, they become like a ghost or even go to hell by their sin, what is knowingly or unknowingly performed. So there in 40, two verses before 41, it is mentioned that Srila Prabhupada writes that according to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to forefathers of the family. Yes, this is called pinda. Yeah, that's what the verse also says. Sankaro narakayeva kula gnanam kulascha patanti pitaro hyesham lupta pindotaka kriya. Yes, so pinda is offering of food, udaka and water, pindota, and that's why I said pindodaka kriya, to perform. One should perform such an offering. And so it's said that this offering is performed by worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. Sometimes the forefathers may suffer from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire gross material body and are forced to remain subtle bodies as ghosts. So it's either due to sinful activity or due to attachment also. Yes, so then the children, to deliver the father, mother, and other relatives, they perform that worship of Vishnu and offer remnants to the forefathers. Thus, when remnants of prasadam, food, are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Yeah. So here again on verse 43, it says that manushyanam. So this is a duty of a manushya, of a human being. Yes, because the culture is only meant for humans. Nobody expects a pigeon to follow a culture. No one expects fish or a mosquito or anybody of animals or insects or plants to follow these type of procedures. So therefore, every human should follow the duty. But then it's also mentioned, we know, that human, and that's why this book is also spoken for humans, not for any other lower species. Because we have to understand that jiva, the soul, is situated in every living entity. Not just, and the same jiva, the same Sachit Ananda jiva, the eternal servant of Krishna, is situated in every species of living entities. But only in human life, there is something special. It's something special, and that is actual human task. What human has to understand. So human is the only species which can actually understand that spiritual nature, that Sachit Ananda, that soul. So this is actually the duty of a human being. And everything else, Krishna says, parityaja. You give it all up. Forget about it. Don't think even about it. Just serve and surrender. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, after explaining how important it is to offer the pinda and water to the forefathers, he says that such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition. So he actually emphasized, what does family tradition mean? Yeah, that this is actually, and this is what Arjuna is worried about this offerings to forefathers. Because some family tradition could be, okay, we put sugar when we cook dal, or when we go to dham, then we do this, or when we sleep, we do this. But These things is not what family tradition is meant here and what Arjuna is worried about. Arjuna is specifically worried about this condition of forefathers and continuation, that who will continue to do it. Yes, so that is family tradition. It's just to understand what that kula dharma means. So such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. And Prabhupada quotes the Bhagavatam verse from 11th canto, 541. Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam Pitrinam Nakinkaro Trinicharaja Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligations, and has taken to the path of all to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here from we can understand that actually the devotional service, the bhakti, the surrender to Krishna is the highest and actually the only duty of the soul. And if the person engages in these activities and performs the higher duty, all other things which is on a lower status or lower category are naturally included. Like sometimes we hear the analogy that if I have $1 million, then $1 is already included in it. If I have $1 million, I don't need to search for $1 because $1 is already included in that $1 million. So this devotional service, when we fully surrender to Krishna, is already this $1 million. So, but then our task is to surrender, and nothing actually should or could stop us from that, because this is our only nature and this is our only dharma. And if we have no faith in it, then we should understand that there is some problem, because that's what. So therefore, bhakti starts with shraddha, with faith. So if we have faith that only by bhakti everything can be attained, then we are having shraddha. But if there is no such a faith that only by bhakti everything can be, all the means and ends can be taken care of, then means that we have not yet started the process of bhakti, because shraddha, the first level, the first step, has not been yet accepted in our lives. So therefore, it is very good to come to Bhagavad-Gita and Bhagavatam classes to hear this knowledge and to attain this knowledge and to realize it. It's interesting that for this verse, no other commentaries, purports are available. Only Srila Prabhupada has written commentary on this verse. And it's also interesting that he puts so much stress while commenting on this verse, not so much of destroying family tradition or fear of dwelling in a hell. But what he points out here is on the word, what he puts stress is the word anushruma, which is to hear from the right source, which is our disciplic succession. Yeah. So shushruma is to hear him at anu means also to follow the succession. So therefore, he has taken the word disciplic succession from this anu. So anushruma, that how do we acquire knowledge? It is from the person who has knowledge. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says one cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. Yes, so, and this type of person is Guru. And therefore, after reading this, I really wanted to go back to, not go back, we're going forward now, but back because we read this verse so many times. It is about inquiring from Guru. And many times we read that verse, but it is very important to understand the purport of this verse and also the result of approaching Guru and inquiring from Guru. What is the result? Because Srila Prabhupada many times said that Guru is not just a fashion. Everyone has Guru, so I'll also have a Guru. Or just like basically Prabhupada says to keep the Guru, like we are keeping the Guru, like someone is keeping the dog, or someone is keeping a cow, or so we'll keep the Guru. So when he comes, we'll feed him, and then we'll get blessings from him. But actually, what should be result of approaching bona fide Guru? We sometimes forget. So we'll try to focus on this because it is very much related to this verse of today's. Like as I said, many times we focus on how we have to follow the family tradition and we should not break it. And this Arjuna is talking about it. But is Krishna talking about it? Krishna is talking about it. Forget about all this. Yes. So we take the verse in a context. We take the shloka in the context. We don't just pick it out of the whole book and then we preach something which actually Srila Prabhupada doesn't teach. Because Srila Prabhupada, we just read in a purport, said that all this are for those who are not engaged in devotional life. And we can say, okay, I'm not engaged in devotional life, so I should do it. Then why are you not engaged in devotional life? You should be engaged in devotional life. You should surrender to Krishna. It's time. It's time. Yes, so let's read. And if maybe we haven't surrendered because, or we don't engage in fully in devotional life because we missed some point. Means maybe we did not receive full knowledge. So therefore, it is very important to understand how the knowledge should be received. And that's why Srila Prabhupada put the stress of that word anushruna. Yes, anushruma. That knowledge should be received from the person who has that realized knowledge. Yes, so first, there are a few verses before that knowledge, the approaching Guru verse, which said that different sacrifices are there to free us from work. We sacrifice things for Krishna, frees from work, but knowledge is something that actually, like sacrifice performed in knowledge is better than mere sacrifice of material possessions. Yes, so such kind of sacrifice in knowledge actually makes gives us benefit. So we need to have knowledge. And here is this section really talk about knowledge and transcendental knowledge. Yes, and then Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport, when one's faith reaches a stage of transcendental knowledge, the performer of sacrifice should be considered more advanced than those who simply sacrifice material possessions without said knowledge. Yes. So you're doing things with knowledge. It is superior than doing things just for the sake of doing. So, without attainment of knowledge, sacrifices remain on the material platform and bestow no spiritual benefit. Because sometimes people also may do some service, but then they may be frustrated. They need day off, or they need holiday, or something, or there is so many other complications and difficulties that may come up. But there, Srila Prabhupada says it is because the sacrifice is performed without knowledge, and it is done on the material platform. Because devotional service, this is that it's only meant to churn ananda. There should be no other outcome. So if we feel depressed or frustrated, means there is some material contamination. Maybe we don't do it in full knowledge. In full knowledge means that I am eternal servant of Krishna, and I want to serve Krishna, and I love him, and he loves him, and this my activity is my personal exchange with the Lord in love. So if we perform this service with this mentality, where is the question of frustration, fatigue, boredom, or break? Yeah, it is anandam buddhivardhanam, ever increasing ocean of nectar. Yes, so that's why this knowledge, it is so important to cultivate the knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada says that real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness. Real knowledge culminates in Krishna consciousness, the highest stage of transcendental knowledge. So the highest stage is prema. Yeah, first we start to talk about faith. We start from Shraddha. Yeah? So when one's faith reaches stage of transcendental knowledge, so we have faith, then we acquire knowledge, and then we perform and we progress in a bhakti. So then, that real knowledge culminates in prema, in Krishna consciousness. So that should be the real result of our devotional service, of our sadhana, of our study, that we reach Krishna consciousness. Without elevation of knowledge, sacrifices are simply material activities. And then we wonder sometimes, because sometimes the devotees ask me a question, I've been in movement for 30 years, I've attended Mangalarti every day, but still I feel that something is missing and I'm not feeling blissful and happy and this and that. So here is an answer. It is Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 4, text 33. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. We can read it again and again and again to remind ourselves what is the secret, where is the secret. We have to perform devotional service with full knowledge. And this knowledge is that we are loving servant of the Lord. And this is how we serve. Yes, so how do we get this knowledge? Like I say, okay, very nice, that's a knowledge, but I don't have that knowledge. So how I should get? So first, it described the knowledge and the benefit of knowledge, what knowledge will give. So then now Prabhupada in the chapter 4, text 34, he describes how do we get the knowledge. Yes. So he said, so try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So here, when a spiritual master, it could be meant either our Diksha Guru, but also it can be meant our instructors, which could be also Shiksha Gurus or anyone who we may feel inspired and who can guide us. So one should approach such a person, and by rendering service, through rendering service, one should inquire to him. How? Submissively. And then by such a humble service and submissive inquiry, the person, the spiritual master, the self-realized soul, we will impart that knowledge. Which knowledge? By whose culmination one attain Krishna consciousness. And he can impart that knowledge by which our devotional service, our devotional life, our bhakti will give us just newer and newer blissful ecstatic experiences. It is never boring and it is never stagnant because it's ever increasing. So Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport, one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender. Yes. So first you judge and find a spiritual master, find a self-realized soul. And once you start inquiring, then your judgment is over. You just accept. One should serve that spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. So these are the secrets Srila Prabhupada giving us. Satisfaction of self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master is not effective. So the service is the essence, not the inquiries. So therefore, when the student is submissive, and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So through this service, the reciprocation comes, reciprocation of knowledge. So now we have approached the self-realized person, and we have served them, and we have acquired the knowledge. So now again, let's go back to that. What is that knowledge, that precious knowledge, which can give us a Krishna consciousness, which can give us love of God? Because what does otherwise mean Krishna consciousness? To love Krishna. Because once you love someone, you are continuously conscious of that person. So consciousness comes from love. We can analyze ourselves. If we love something in this material world, either it's a person or object, we are continuously conscious of that person or that object. So if we love Krishna, which we do love, this is actually the only thing we love, only person we love. And from that love, all the other loves, forms of love expand. So this is the knowledge that we can and we should and we must and we will get from a self-realized person through the menial service. So now the next verse, the 35, that verse explains so how that knowledge looks like. How do we apply it in practice? How do we see it in ourselves? So what is the result of it? So here it is said, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but parts of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mine. So this is what knowledge will give. They will understand, the person will understand that I am part and parcel of Krishna, and everyone else is part and parcel of Krishna. And the relationship will be developed. Hare Krishna? So So when we are part and parcel of Krishna, it means we have a relationship with Krishna. And that relationship is love. And that relationship is service. So that knowledge that the self-realized person will be giving to us, will be bestowing upon us, is that knowledge of our relationship with Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. And more and more specific details will come regarding this once that knowledge matures, once our service matures, then that knowledge, the more refined and refined details will also come out. Because just servant is general, but love, like we serve, even in this material world, we serve our mother, we serve our children, we serve our friends, we serve our lovers, and that is service and that is love. But all of that have different flavors. So the same way with Krishna, our service, our sincere, pure, loving service will develop in a certain flavor. So that knowledge through that service is going to be bestowed upon us. And it is explained by our acharyas how that perception, because in verse 9 too, it is said that it's pratyaksha, that this devotional service, it is practically perceived, it is realized, it's based on realization. So how did realization come from? It comes from repeated devotional activities. Then we take the devotional service and we just do it again and again and again continuously. So from this type of repeated devotional activities, the realization comes. And the more we repeat, the finer realization is going to come in our hearts. So therefore, it's not just enough to chant Mahamantra once. It's not just enough to perform certain devotional activity just once. It has to be repeated again and again. And the more we repeat, the more that realization will come. Therefore, when we chant japa, when we chant kirtan, when we do serve Krishna, we should never think that it's enough. We should never think, I'll stop here. We should never stop anywhere. The more we do, the more we engage in it and give ourselves to it, the deeper realization you'll get. And that deeper realization will be a kickstart, the impetus to the next level. And therefore, it's like ever expanding ripples of the devotional ocean, we can say. Yes? So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that this understanding that all living beings are parts of Supreme means that, and one of those living beings is also me. Yes? So it is that this statement indicates that we have eternally loving relationship with the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada writes that in a purport, he says that by Maya alone, so because of Maya, Arjuna, we can also say us, Arjuna thought that temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. So if anybody thinks that a relationship with kinsmen, which means friends, relatives, family members, are more important than the relationship with Krishna, it is due to Maya only. Maya means that which is not. So it's not more important. So Srila Prabhupada ends this purport of saying that real liberation or liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as eternal servitor of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. So this is a result when we, by what comes when we approach self-realized soul. Someone's phone is ringing. It is not as important as relationship with Krishna, as we're reading here now. So, and anybody, even a sinful person, it means that you need to switch it off. Even a sinful person, by this transcendental knowledge, can cross the ocean of miseries. So then someone says, oh, how can a sinful person be in transcendental knowledge? And then our acharyas explain, it's not possible. There is no sinful person in transcendental knowledge. It is just like a hypothetical statement. Even if there was a sinful person, still by this knowledge, he could cross the ocean of miseries. Because once someone is already in a state of transcendental knowledge, there is no sin. There is no piety and there is no sin. Actually, it said that all the karmic reactions is destroyed just by this knowledge. Only by knowledge, everything is destroyed. It said that only prarabdha karma is not destroyed with this knowledge, which means prarabdha karma is a body. Yeah. So this body is destroyed only by Krishna's will. It's not destroyed by this knowledge because that body is needed for preaching that knowledge. Yes. So because we need to approach the self-realized soul to attain the knowledge. So once we have attained the knowledge and we cultivated the knowledge, we become self-realized soul. So somebody will approach us. So therefore, that body is needed to bestow that knowledge further. But that's knowledge. But bhakti destroys also prarabdha karma. That's why for a bhakta, his body is spiritual. So this is our beautiful sessions here about transcendental knowledge. It is said that this realized knowledge, Srila Prabhupada writes in 37, the realized knowledge of constitutional position of living entity. What is constitutional position of living entity? Eternal, what kind of servant? One who loves, the loving servant. Love, we serve Krishna based on love, not based on obligation, duty, or fear. It's out of love. Because what else he needs? Does he need our chapatis with ghee? Does he need our perfectly cooked rice? Does he need our nice Italian pasta? No, none of this he needs. Even he does not need a Bengali shack. Nothing. He only needs our bhakti. What is bhakti? It's love. So that's the knowledge. The real transcendental knowledge of our constitutional position is our love for Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada said that kind of knowledge of our transcendental position of living entity means love. What happens? It burns everything to ashes. It just burns everything to ashes. What does it do? What that realization does? Huh? Burn everything into ashes. So let us burn ourselves in the fire of love of Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.